So we showed up the day before. I purposely changed our flights, came in a day early, and I said, you know what? It'd be really nice if we can go down to Field of Dreams and have the field to ourselves. So we were the last two to leave, and we closed up Field of Dreams that night, right at sunset. It was fantastic.
He's told me many times, the day I told him I stopped playing baseball was like the saddest day of his life. So I feel like I kind of had to reconcile that by coming out here with him.
And that'll bring up Kevin Costner. There's a base hit into right field, and Bob Costas scores!
I am amazed to say that in all my baseball travels, today marks the very first time that I have ever set foot in Dyersville and ever set foot on this baseball diamond. And it's a day I already know I will never forget.
If you build it, he will come.
Hey, Alex. Hey, it's opening day. Throw it to me, buddy.
Play catch is like almost the symbol for doing something special with your dad, you know, having that something that you can do with him that's just the two of you.
Sports is the one acceptable way within the straitjacket of our society's gender roles that a man can express real emotion and expect real emotion back. Because you can say, I love you, by saying you want to catch a ball.
Playing catch and talking with my dad is some of the best memories I have from my childhood growing up.
Who's Daddy's best buddy? Who's Daddy's best buddy, huh? Come on, buddy, who's Daddy's best buddy? Love you.
I
Love
I don't feel like being your best buddy anymore.
That's okay. I love you anyway,
I'm not going to McDonald's with you.
One day you love your dad, and one day you just want to like put him through a drywall like you can't stand him, you know?
Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed?
No,
No?
you loser.
What?
I adore my dad. I think he's awesome. And then sometimes I'm just so annoyed with him that I want to like bite a brick.
Turn it off! I'm not gonna
But you alone, you are the everything.
I can't hear him say sorry.
Why?
Because I was being such a brat.
Just shy of his 16th birthday, and much to my chagrin, the reality that my best buddy was no longer a boy fully sank in. My little man has met his dusk, but I will never forget those swirling dust clouds from Bad Hop, Brooklyn ball fields.
You don't remember a lot of days where you go to grammar school, but you do remember the days where you went to Yankee Stadium on a school night. From what I remember going to my first game, I was just instantly just sucked in by the world. I can just remember just watching baseball and not being the kind of kid who was distracted by all the other things at the stadium.
Alex grew up as a fan in baseball's greatest cathedral, but he never made the trek to its fictional Mecca. So I took him to the Father's Day weekend of our dreams. Well, at least it was my dream.
Why can't I have my arm around you?
It's just uncomfortable.
Is it cramping your style?
And it is cramping.
It's cramping your style?
My dad and I, we went through a lot when I was younger, when my parents split up for a bit, and we were just living in this little apartment. Stuff like that, those intimate moments where you're going through really tough times. Considering my dad and I had a really great bond, it made it stronger.
I love my father.
I know you love your father. I know you
I just don't see my dad that much. My dad and I played catch until I learned how to pitch. And for nearly a decade, when I was on the bump, my dad was always in the stands, with an approving nod, a knowing wink, and a silent attaboy.
When there's a fracture in the father-son relationship, it doesn't really heal. How does that affect men as they get older into adulthood?
When a guy is able to forgive his father and understand the context in which his father operated, then that guy is able to say, I'm no longer angry about this, but I will be able to be a better father by looking at what I missed from my father.
My father and I have a lifetime filled with compound fractures that have never healed. So in a romantic's hope for reconciliation, I sent my dad a heartfelt email to see if he wanted to join us. But I never heard back. And as we approached this magical destination, I accepted the fact that this wasn't going to be like a Hollywood movie. My very much alive dad would most likely not be coming from Spain to Iowa to play catch with me in a cornfield.
Love you, buddy. Love you, Dad.
So I just stayed in the moment with my best buddy.
When I finally saw the house in the field, there was something about it that was just, I knew it was special.
The lights. See the lights.
It was like a magical experience for me.
So is this heaven? No. You are in the perfect place from which to honor our dad. My name is Denise Stillman, and it makes me so proud to welcome you to the 25th anniversary celebration of the release of the Oscar-nominated Field of Dreams that made this farm famous.
A few months ago, I heard about this Father's Day celebration at the Field of Dreams. There was an open invitation for dads to come play catch with their boys on the actual field where Shoeless Joe and Moonlight Graham played their home games. I called my father overseas to see if we could put the pain in the past and close the wound on Dad's Day at what I call the crying man's holy land.
When we think about Field of Dreams, we think about men who are trying to heal something.
When this opportunity came up, I felt like, this is the Les Thomas special here. This is what he would love.
I just remember missing a lot. I think in some respects, that's why I'm trying to make up for it now, maybe. So I called David and I said, hey, you want to have a catch?
Dwyer Brown played Kevin Costner's father in Field of Dreams. Their moment of reconciliation through a simple game of catch has prompted myself and countless other men to shed Pavlovian tears.
He was starting to get choked up on the field, I could tell.
Oh yeah, it's very emotional.
My dad has one just like this. Thank you so much. Good luck to you. All right, appreciate it.
Why do you think guys my age and your dad's age, why are we so affected by that?
Because at a certain age, I'm not going to want to do that anymore.
Man, you're breaking my heart.
My dad worked his tail off, and we rarely got to see him unless there was a baseball game. And he was always there for every game. And that was what I did growing up as a kid. I was a baseball player.
Look at everybody congratulating Dwyer Brown on that diving catch in left field.
I was talking to my dad earlier, and he said that if Kevin Costner is like the Willie Mays of Field of Dreams, that you're the Bobby Thompson. You had the emotional shot heard around the world.
I don't even know what to say to that. That's pretty profound and philosophical. So I wasn't sure we were going to go that deep this early.
How often, Dwyer, when someone recognizes you, is the first thing out of their mouth, want to have a catch?
I've heard that line a few times. Yeah, and I always remember mine, and I just say I'd like that. So I'd like that.
The theme that women got when they watched Field of Dreams with their men was they looked at them and they said, you call your dad and you fix this silliness. You reach out to your son and you fix the silliness that's keeping you apart. And that's why I think Field of Dreams has lived, because when you're done with this movie, you can fix something that's broken.
I haven't seen my dad in 15 years, and I would love nothing more than to play catch with him until we started to like each other again. But when I called to invite him to Iowa, he hung up on me as soon as he heard the sound of my voice.
What
What's your father got to do with all of this?
You see, my old man moved to Spain a generation ago, with Hemingway on his mind and fulfillment in his soul. But he was nowhere to be found on this night, and I would be lying if I told you it was entirely his fault.
I mean, one thing that's great about that movie is you can try to be thinking about something else, but when that scene comes on, you go right there with us.
Hey, Dad? You want to have a catch? I'd like that.
You know, I think I represent people's fathers, and so I try to take that very seriously. It's really an honor to sort of have that position in people's lives, that if my face from that movie opens their hearts.
The ending of Field of Dreams, that's a very powerful scene. It makes my dad cry every time. Why do you think that that scene is so powerful and makes so many adult men shed tears when they watch it?
Well, several generations of American men, it may be less true now, but parents, fathers tended to be a little more stoic toward their children. And so maybe the only way that many of the people in the audience had connected with their own fathers was through baseball. And so when Kevin Costner says to Dwyer Brown, "Hey, Dad, want to have a catch?" that's evocative of that feeling. Now, to those that aren't oriented toward baseball that way, that may make almost no sense. But to those who get it, it makes perfect sense.
Playing catch is probably the main way that some guys learn to look into each other's eyes without thinking that there's something weird or uncomfortable about it.
I see, buddy.
I can't ever really remember not liking baseball, to be honest. We'd go to my elementary school, PS 102, because there was a courtyard that no one would ever really go to, especially on the weekends, where we would just have it all to ourselves. We called it Pamp Field because we basically claimed it as our own. No matter what was happening at home, just have a catch and just forget everything and just BS and talk about life.
Yeah, that was really good. You want to throw?
The morning after watching Field of Dreams, we got to suit up and play on the actual field where the movie was shot.
I know, that wind blowing out, I think I might do some damage today. Should I call my shot when I get up, like Babe Ruth?
We were told that if we won, we got to play a second game. So immediately I began assembling our roster. And from the first time I saw David Fanton throw a ball,
Actually, I'd like to play Dave too.
I knew we had our ringer.
I turned 54 this year. I started playing this game at the age of 4. Yeah, I remember playing as a 4-year-old with a plastic bat and a plastic ball with my dad in the backyard like it was just yesterday. But that resonates with me 50 years later.
There's an old sports axiom: if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. As a kid, I hated that expression. As a middle-aged man, not so much. I never called myself a role model. I'm a real model.
John Pamphilon now hitting. Nice breeze, that felt good.
Oh, keep your head in there.
Strike one.
My dad, I didn't really know what to expect, you know? I mean, I didn't think he was gonna, like, do terribly or anything.
Second baseman, he's going to go over to third. Oh! Nice attempt by the third baseman.
Dad, get up there!
Oh! He's tagged out by the third baseman. That's a great play.
Get your head in the game.
A great play. Alex Pamphilon leads off the bottom of the fifth.
I never played in front of nearly that many people before. There must have been at least like 1,500.
David Fanton now batting. Oh, there's another hit.
My dad worked a lot, so the time that we had together was so few moments. But one of the moments that I always remember with my dad was playing catch in the backyard. And as I'm playing in the game, I was just thinking about my dad as a kid. And I tried to get back on the game. But it was so much fun to be out there, you know, playing with my son, thinking about those memories, but also these memories that we're building together.
Do you understand why your dad's emotional about this? Yeah.
It's one way that you can touch each other. It's one way you can have a physical expression. And so it needs to be taken seriously.
Gonna go for two.
I was really surprised with how he did. He went 5 for 8, which was better than what I did, which was 4 for 8. So, I mean, that was cool.
We didn't come from the generation where you don't keep score. We didn't get trophies for just showing up. So don't be offended when I say we smoked those dudes and won both our games.
I really like the fact that we were both successful with our play. It was cool to be able to support each other and tell each other good job while we were playing.
Coming away from this weekend, what are you guys leaving here with?
Going back home, like, I'm never gonna feel the same about anything, really.
Garrett Fanton leads off the inning.
We were going to bed last night, and he just kept saying over and over again. I was like, "It's a lot of fun today, Dad." And he's like, "Best time of my life."
On this Father's Day, a group of like-minded men, most of us a little past our prime, came from all across this country to create a time capsule for our boys to remember. Personally, I'll never forget the day the baseball gods smiled like my son and said, "Let's play 2 on a perfect day in heaven that looked like Iowa."
The way my dad's raised me has definitely helped give me an idea of how I think I want to raise my kids, which is talking to them about anything, being honest with them, because they live in this world too. You gotta be honest with your kids, because that's how you develop, in my opinion, a great relationship with them.
What was the best part of the day for you?
The best part of the day for me was probably when you had balls hit to you and you threw them to me. So we were able to put people out.
So what are you going to tell your friends when you get home?
That I just had a weekend better than any weekend they've ever had.
For real?
Yeah. It was awesome.
So what do you think we would have done if we didn't spend all that time playing baseball together?
I'm sure we would have figured something out.
You think if you gave me a 1-base head start...
If I gave you a 1-base head start, I'd still beat you.
I think we're going to have to do this.
Hi, I'm Alex Pamplon, here with legendary broadcaster Bob Costas. Now, Bob, I understand your son plays baseball or played baseball. How did that relationship with you and your son in baseball affect your communication and just your daily lives?
Well, he was a baseball fan almost from the time that he could walk and talk. It was something for us to talk about. All sports were, but baseball was number 1 on the list.
My boy is about to get his driver's license, and my old man hasn't seen me or his grandson since just after Alex took his first steps. I don't have much in common with my dad, which makes me a little bit more than sad. But for a time in my youth, even when we had 3 dimes combined, we still had 2 gloves and a ball, and life didn't seem all that bad.
Being able to just let it all go and just look at this diamond and be at peace is really special. And for me, baseball is peace.
Here we go.
That's what we do. That's our thing.
We do this one.
Hug it out.
Things we haven't said sometimes.